This video is to help assist you in adding fractions. With this first fraction, we have 2/5 plus 1/5. As long as our denominators are the same, we call these like fractions. And luckily for us, that means we get to keep the denominator the same and just add the top. Now we can only do this if the denominator is the same, because that means that these pieces are both cut up into fifths, so they're the same size. Here's an example of unlike fractions. We have a 3 as a denominator and a 7. That means if I were to have this box cut into thirds, it would look like this. But if it were cut into sevenths, it would be smaller pieces. So that means in order to solve this problem, I'm going to need to find common denominators and make equivalent fractions. So the first step in doing this is we're just going to create a little t-chart and we're going to list all of the multiples of our denominators. So in our first fraction, the denominator is 3, so I'm going to count by 3s to get our multiples. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Then I'm going to count by 7s because that's my next denominator. 7, 14, 21. And I can stop here because I notice that their least common multiple, or the smallest number they share, is 21. So that's going to be my new denominator. I'm going to draw a new problem out, and I'm going to make my denominator 21. Now here's where we have to think a little bit. I'm going to change color so you can see. I have to decide, because these have to be equivalent fractions, how did I go from 3 to 21? What did I have to do to that 3 to make it 21? And I had to multiply it by 7, because 3 times 7 is 21. Now, in order to find an equivalent fraction, I have to do the exact same thing to the top. So I have to multiply 2 times 7, and I get 14. So now 2/3 and 14/7 is an equivalent fraction. So now I'm going to do that to the other side too, but I have to come up with a new number probably to make this one equivalent. So now I'm thinking in my head, how did I go from 7 to 21? I multiplied times 3, because 7 times 3 is 21. So I have to do the exact same thing to the top. I have to multiply it times 3. So I do 1 times 3, and I get 3. Now I'm ready to add these fractions. I'm going to write it on a new board, though, so it's nice and neat. 14 21st plus 3 21st. I'm going to check. Yep. So now that my denominators are the same, I can add them. Now my denominator is going to stay the same, but I'm going to add across the top. 14 plus 3 is 17. Now I'm almost done. I have to think in my head, do 17 and 21 share any common factors? Is there any number I can divide both 17 and 21 by? And I think in my head, and the only thing I can come up with is 1, so that means I'm finished. That's my final answer. We're going to try one more just to explain it real quickly. We'll do 5/6 plus, 1/3. So right away I know they have different denominators, so I'm going to create that t-chart to find a common multiple. Right away I see they share 6, so that's going to be my new denominator. Now I'm going to create my equivalent fraction. So I see 6 times what gives me 6? Times 1, so I'm going to do the same thing to the top. Now I look at my next group of fractions. 3 times what gives me 6? Times 2, so I'm going to do the same thing to the top. If I add these together, I get 7/6. And right away I look at this and I know, yuck, this is not right. This is an improper fraction. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more math to figure out what the answer is. 6 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. I subtract, and I'm left with 1 and 1/6 as my final answer. Thanks for watching.